Hello and welcome. Welcome. Guess what time it is again? It is the Ladies' Diary. So, y'all go ahead, get in here, get settled, because tonight's conversation is one of those that it hits a little different, I guess. This isn't about what somebody did to you, this isn't about drama. It's not about pointing fingers. It's about something a whole lot quieter, actually, something that happens over time. And if you're not paying attention, it just becomes normal. And that is the habit of putting yourself last. Now, I'm not talking about once in a while. I'm talking about the everyday kind of last, the kind where you wake up already thinking about what everybody else needs before you even check in with yourself. That's the kind, too, where your body says, slow down, but your mind says, just one more thing. That's me in a nutshell. The kind where you convince yourself that you'll get to it later, and later just keeps moving further and further out. And the truth is, a lot of women don't even realize they're doing it anymore because it's been conditioned into us for so long to take care of every single thing, to keep things running, to show up no matter what. There's that old saying, behind a good man, there's a better woman. You better believe it. And somewhere in the middle of all that, you disappear just a little bit at a time, not all at once, just enough that one day you look up and you're tired in a way that sleep just doesn't fix. And you don't even remember the last time you actually chose yourself without feeling guilty about it. So tonight, we're not rushing through this. We're not brushing it off. We're going to sit in it for a minute and really talk about what that looks like, what it feels like, and why it's so hard to break out of once you're in it. Because this right here, this is real life for a lot of women. And I'm not doing this one by myself, okay? I never do because I just can't. Because when we have conversations like this, I want voices in the room that understand it from different angles. So go ahead and get comfortable and let me bring up someone who knows exactly what I mean to pour it into everybody else and still find a way to keep going. No, y'all know who that is. Mom Lines, I'm going to bring you on up here, honey, because I miss you as soon as I find your intro. Oh, and you did come up. There you are. It is one
I'm
of the
here.
days. You are here. I'm so happy you're here.
I'm
How
here.
are you, my sweet friend?
I'm still battling a little bit of bronchitis, but it's
Aw.
okay. I couldn't miss. I couldn't miss, especially after last month. I could not
Aw.
miss.
Well, you
So
know what? Stuff happens, and
it does.
usually to us, so it's
It does.
okay.
It does. I don't know if everyone realized that. Um, in Arizona, I'm in Arizona. B is not,
No.
and time zone change, and I totally messed that up. So if you got to repeat last month, that's why. And that's I like to keep it real and authentic. That's what happened. So I was heartbroken, and I felt like I let B down, but
Not
we're
at all.
back. And I'm very excited today to have some other uh, wonderful voices join us. I'm going to bring them on as well
Yes.
and let them introduce themselves. But this is Patty, coaching for inspiration with Patty, and also Cami, and then Cami, which Cami, change by design or creative? Go ahead, Cami. You tell us.
Probably change my design. Visual designs doesn't quite go with our topic for today.
Okay. Okay. All right, that works. She's multifaceted, and so yeah, I'll let you guys when you talk tell a little bit about yourselves, but we're going to tackle a conversation together. And B, talk to us about what we're going to talk about.
Well, basically, it's what we do is we read a letter that I've received over the last month, just something about mental or women's health awareness is usually what we try to lean towards, the best awareness that we can each month. And this month it just kind of hit hard for me because not only is my sister over there needing to take better care of herself, I know I do too. So this one just came out perfect. And it doesn't matter what you do in life as far as a job or anything like that, or even just a hobby. The fact of the matter is we are all women and we all work our tails off and we don't pay any attention to ourselves when we do. So if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So would you like me to go ahead with the letter or?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get into it.
Right. It's not a huge letter, but I think we've all asked the same questions before. All right, dear ladies, I don't even know if this is a question or just something I finally had to say out loud, but I feel like I'm running on empty and I don't know how to stop without everything falling apart. I wake up already behind, already thinking about what needs to get done, who needs what I forgot yesterday, what I need to fix today. And by the time I even think about myself, I'm too tired to do anything about it. It's not that I don't care about my health. I do, but it always feels like something else is more urgent. Work, family responsibilities, things that can't wait. And somehow I always can. I've told myself I'll start tomorrow more times than I can count, but tomorrow comes and it looks exactly like today. I know we know what that feels like. Lately, I've been noticing things I didn't pay attention to before. Being tired all the time, feeling overwhelmed over small things, not sleeping right, not eating right, and I know those are signs. I'm not blind to it, but I still keep pushing through like I don't have a choice. And I think that's the part that scares me. I don't know how to choose myself without feeling like I'm letting somebody else down. I don't know how to slow down when everything around me keeps moving. And I don't know how long I can keep going like this before something forces me to stop. So I guess what I'm asking is, how do you actually start taking care of yourself when you've gotten so used to putting yourself last? And how do you do it without feeling guilty for it? Signed, trying to do it all, but losing myself in the process. Goodness. I mean, I know I've been there
Yeah.
many times.
Yeah, I'm definitely there. I've
Yeah.
So I think we ebb and flow with being there. Like sometimes I feel like I got it all together, and then other times I feel exactly like our letter writer. It just and when we talk about the point of doing it for doing for others, it's different for each of us, right? Some of us, you're taking care of family. We're at that stage. A lot of us are parents or grandparents. We are taking care of our jobs, our careers, our businesses. All of these things are requiring our attention, and it's just like competing at times. And so for me, um, I have to just stop and 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 maybe something slides, but I just have to stop sometimes and get myself together before I move forward, or unload my brain and list everything that I have on my plate and then prioritize. I don't know. What do you guys say, Cami? What do you do? I know you have a lot of responsibility too.
Yeah. The letter writer, it's like they're pulling from my brain.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I do the same thing. The last probably 3 weeks, I've really kind of, I shouldn't say kind of, I have developed a pattern of when I'm starting to get overwhelmed is the pause. It's the pause, breathe, do something that, for me, cleaning helps me to kind of de-escalate the feelings. I don't know why that is, because cleaning's another chore, but for me, it really does. It's kind of therapeutic to just get your body moving and flowing, and the breath work that comes with cleaning. So that's what I've been doing lately. It's been lightening my load and really not thinking about the list. When I think about the list is when I get overwhelmed. So I just kind of remove myself from the list for a while.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What about you, Patty?
Well, this is a subject that I talk about a lot.
Yes.
For me and others that I help them schedule the time in for themselves within the week. So that helps when you schedule, I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to go do something for myself. I'm going to go have lunch with a friend. Actually book it and have it on your schedule. And if you do that, when you book time for yourself and it's non-negotiable, you will do it. Just putting that in there. I'm going to spend 10 minutes doing a meditation. I'm going to spend 10 minutes journaling or whatever. It doesn't have to be a lot of time. It can be short. But anytime when friends reach out to me and say, hey, let's go out for coffee or whatever, I say, okay, what day, what time? And I put it on the calendar, and then it's there that I actually do it. For my family, I even book time with them on my schedule because things can get wild. And then all of a sudden your whole calendar is booked and you have no time for you or your relationships and all of that. So I make sure that anytime I'm booking things for me, say you want to take 30 minutes out to exercise or meal prep, things like that, laying your clothes out the night before the day, doing all of those different things can really make a difference because you're putting it into action. When you don't book that vacation, you don't book that getaway, it will never happen because your calendar will fill up. But if you calendar it in, there's the definite chance you're going to do it. And you have to set up those boundaries of saying, I'm not going to change it. I'm going to follow through on it. And I think that's another thing is we think, I need to change it because something else came up. Well, what's more important? What do you want in your life? Do you want that to take care of yourself? And for you, as if you're a caregiver in all those different many ways, you'll be empty and unfulfilled if you don't schedule time for yourself and for the important things in your life, your hobbies and things like that.
That is so true. I remember I used to be the person who would always agree to do something fun or just do something in general, or people invited me, and then I would always cancel. Like I would always find a reason to not do it. I would say I'm too tired, or oh my God, I got so much on my plate. I'm not, and just as of late in life, I stopped doing that. Like I consciously stopped and I said, if I make the commitment, I'm going to follow through, because people start realizing that that's your pattern, and then they stop inviting you. And then you lose friends, you lose people, and it makes people think you're not a priority. I love what you said, Patty, about things like meal prep, laying out your clothes, all those things. Believe it or not, they do make your life easier in the long run. And I think that we forget those things. I think many women don't even notice that they've been neglecting themselves until it's too late. And too late looks like poor health, something that sits you down. What do you guys think about that?
Bronchitis.
Right, right, right. That was good.
Same here. Same here. I mean, personally, I could probably name 1,000 things wrong with me right now, but not one of them is big enough to deal with what I'm dealing with. Otherwise, it's more important. All these other things. I have my granddaughter, I have my husband, I have my children, and putting me last only seems like the right thing to do. Like the letter, and as I said when we were opening, you've been conditioned. Because you watched your mom do it, you watched your grandmother do it, and that's just the way I was raised by my grandmother for a long time. And to me, it was a necessity to step up and take this role without question. When I got married 34 years ago this month, so it's like, yeah, right. I'm gonna pat myself on the back for that one.
That's big.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole point. Is that's what we think. Women are supposed to take that role on because the man's got all this other stuff going too, right? And you have to compliment him because he's working hard. At least that's how it was for me. Maybe not for everybody, but for me, that's how my grandmother was. She was in the American Legion, and they were at the Rotary Club and all these other things, and all these things that I wish were here now that I couldn't get into anyway. Here's the thing. I couldn't do all that stuff with what's on my plate now. So it's evolution, but is it really? Because it's just trading one set of complications for another per generation, right? Sorry, going on a different tangent here, but I think it covers that feeling for me. That's what.
No, I mean, I think. No, I think you're spot on in that. I think we sort of normalize what we do. I mean, it becomes, like you said, it's generational. What we saw that we admired in women has a great deal to do with it as well. My mother was that woman that could manage the house and kept it clean and beautiful, and food always perfectly cooked and great meals. And I look back at that now and go, how did she do all that? But she had a host of other issues, but she was really spot on when it came to taking care of the house, taking care of the man, and doing what she was supposed to do for me as her only child. I didn't miss meals. I was always beautifully dressed, and everything that was supposed to happen. That's functioning, and she functioned very well. But that was a time, right? But we do have responsibilities. We do have things that gradually creep up that may be invisible. Kemi, you've shared that you are very responsible for your parents, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know how much you want to share about that, but I know that that's a huge part of your life.
It's a huge part. And as you guys were talking, I was thinking about one of the biggest culprits for me is having access to all the things that remind me of the list. So like your phone, the alert will come up and you just glance at it and you're like, right. And then you're working, I work from home, I'm working on my computer, and I hear the email being, right? Oh, there's another email. And when you let it hijack your plans for the day, that's on you, right? So it's one of those things where you have to really self-talk and go, do I need to do this now? Because the juxtaposition to our Mother's Days wasn't present, right? So they listened to their voicemail at the end of the day and, decided when they were going to call those people back, right? So there was a lot more space for the doing of the things that we needed to do in a given day. And now our brains are constantly being pinged by extra stuff all the time. And yeah, I think that the electronic world that we live in has created a lot more sedentary. We're more sedentary, and we're more attention deficit.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. What I have a question. Patty, were you going to say anything on that?
Well, I was going to kind of go back a little bit.
Yes.
I wanted to share something. So I watch my grandchildren too. I help out with that as well. And I saw this cruise come up on my feed, on my email, and I was like to my husband, let's go to this. But so I talked to my son and I talked to my daughter, and they're like, Mom, of course you're going to go on that cruise. You don't need to think about us. We can make other arrangements. You need to go. You need to go out and have fun and do things and experience life, and don't worry, we'll find a way to take care of what we need to take care of. And I thought, oh wow, them just saying that took like this big relief off of me. And here I am, a work-life balance coach and leadership coach, and I'm saying to them, oh, I want to go on this cruise from this time to this time. And they're like, you don't even need to ask. And I share a calendar with my daughter and my son-in-law. So I just put on there on the calendar, on the Google Calendar, Oma on vacation. and they were so happy. They were so happy. You know, they didn't want to feel like they were holding me back from enjoying my life as well. So I just wanted to share that.
That is so awesome.
That is amazing.
The people in your life want you to have freedom too, and to do things that you enjoy, and they love you and they want that for you as well, so that you can come back and not be burned out, that you're not filled totally up with exhaustion and stress and all of those things. So I just wanted to share that.
So, Patty, you remind me of, there's a tinge of guilt sometimes when we do have an opportunity to do something that would light us up, that would be awesome. But we have these connections with family. We have these connections with family and friends that sometimes lean on us. And your initial thought, even being the coach that you are, your initial thought is you don't want to let them down, because you're accountable and there's a responsibility, right? So that's kind of a natural thing. Have you ever felt guilty for resting or choosing yourself otherwise? Anybody? Because I think that's part of it. No. Guilt is a big part of it.
Yes. I mean,
all the time.
Many years of putting yourself last becomes a habit. And then you have to work on undoing that. And that's one of the things. It's a work in progress, because you do backslide sometimes, but then you refocus, and scheduling the time makes such a difference, and making that a priority. If you don't make it a priority, it's like, oh, I want to go to my grandkids' soccer game. I'm going to put that on the calendar so that I make sure that I don't get scheduled for something else. Those little things really make a difference. And if you're a parent, the same thing, putting that on your calendar so that you can make that soccer game, gymnastics, volleyball, basketball, whatever. Because when you put it on your calendar, nobody else can schedule you.
Right. Yeah, I know. It's just a whole lot. There's a cost to, and I think our letter writer, the point here is that at some point it runs out. You just get tired. And that's, I think, what she's saying. Um, and so when I think about that, we call it burnout. Um, it shows up. It shows up physically, it shows up mentally, and it shows up emotionally. And that's the part that some people suffer in silence and they don't share until they completely are ready to shut down. Um, I know as a teacher, in my industry, in the education industry, there's a lot of teachers that are walking away. They just can't handle. They show up every day and they experience trauma. I call it trauma because there's fights with between kids. There's a lot of yelling and disrespect and all kinds of things happening. And throughout the course of the day, teachers experience so many things. And then they go home, get a little bit of rest and some or dinner, a little bit of rest, get up and do it all over again. 5 days a week. It's a lot. And I had to realize that when I fell, you guys remember, and I was in the boot, and the boot forced me to slow down, that's when I had my realization that I was burned out. I love teaching. I love kids. I love what I learned from them. I teach eighth grade. It's like the best grade. But man, I when I had to stay home, elevate my leg and everything in my foot, and just chill, I realized that I felt different. But I didn't realize it at first. And then that really, for me, I decided to change up what I was doing and how I was doing it in the classroom. And through Rising Resilience, that's why I'm creating some of the tools that I am for teachers, because I feel for my colleagues. I feel for them. It's tough. It really is. And that's just one career. I don't even understand how firemen or police officer, I mean, on and on, EMT, I don't know how they do it. Constant trauma, constant. Um, but what we're talking about today, specifically women who are designed to nurture, right? We're designed to nurture. So it's almost like we go on autopilot to take care of everything and everybody because that's in our DNA. Um, don't even realize what's going on until something shows up. So it's called the empty cup, right?
Agreed. Agreed. It it's hard to fill that cup up too, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because
Mm-hmm.
you want to pick your battles, to be able to win the war. But when you have so many battles, it's hard to fill that cup up because you have to keep kicking that battle out.
Mm-hmm.
you know, for me, I think the biggest problem that I have is the guilt. I really do, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it feels like I'm not doing enough when I'm doing way too much. But then again, if I don't do that, who's going to? So I feel guilty if I don't, because nobody else really. My problem is nobody knows my job because I won't let them do it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's the biggest thing, because they're not going to do it the way I want it done, and which is my way. And I guess that's a bit of a control issue for me. But, when you do it all, you got to have some kind of control. And I think I burn out more on the control than the
Mm-hmm.
situation itself. So, but that's just
Mm-hmm.
me,
Mm-hmm.
It could be different for others, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, Patty, you're a coach in this area, so I imagine you talk to a lot of people. Um, and your background, if you would share a little bit about, your years in corporate and your realization to get to where you are coaching for inspiration.
Well, one of the things that I realized, I was in a supervisor manager role from the time I was 18 on. And I was the typical workaholic, do everything at home, at work, go, 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 go. And in my 30s, I had an ulcer.
Mm.
And the doctor said to me, and it was a big ulcer. And the doctor said to me, something in your life needs to change. What's causing this? Because it wasn't the normal kind of ulcer. It was a worry. It was a worrier ulcer.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying that I changed overnight. I'm not saying I had to put things in place to change my life, to realize that I can't do it all and I need help. And I think it's coming to that realization and making little tiny steps in the right direction to change things in your life. But it's the awareness.
Mm-hmm.
I was slowly killing myself. I had children. I had small children. I wanted to be there to see them grow up. And I knew that there were things that I had to start removing from my life. And that's the key, is what am I doing in my life that I don't enjoy? And start slowly removing those things so that you have room for the joy in your life, the things that you truly want to do, and to take care of yourself. I wasn't taking care of myself. And that was my wake up call.
Thank you for sharing that.
And I'm not saying that it changed, because when you're a worrier, that is a hard habit to break. And when you're a doer, that's a hard habit to break. You know, you have to start eliminating one thing at a time, slowly. Start removing the things that you really don't need to do and asking others for help. How hard is that? Sometimes it's hard for us to ask for help, but once you start, it gets easier.
And trusting people, because Boss B, she mentioned only she can do it, because that's the way we think. We don't want other people.
Yes, it is.
Well, what I found as a manager and a supervisor is giving up that control and delegating, that others are learning and from it and becoming better and getting better skills, and they may do it a different way and it might be better than the way you were doing it.
Yeah.
So giving a chance. Now, you're taking a risk. It may not go the way you want it to go, but sometimes it's awesome. You don't have to do it anymore. Somebody else is doing it and they enjoy it and they're learning. And that's what I found.
That's good advice.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that is really good advice. So what if you're like, Cammie, when we talk about your responsibility with your parents, you are the qualified person. You are the one. And that's not something that you can,
I can't really pass it off.
Right. Yeah.
It was funny because you asked earlier, the guilt, and I don't have guilt. I have overwhelm. I don't feel guilty by taking on all this stuff. I feel a sense of there's pride in there. There's they did it for me. I need to do it for them, right? Like they raised me. I'm gonna help them, right? So it's kind of, what comes around goes around kind of a thing. But for me, I think it's 100% the list. And when I just don't pay attention to the list, I am more calm. It's do the next thing. Do the next thing. There was this thing that we were taught in an assembly line production. I used to work for Motorola, and they used to have training called just in time. and the most optimal unit is 1. And so, you do the 1 and pass it on, do the 1, pass it on, right? Manufacturing line. So I kind of take that mental approach with my list. It's like, I'm just going to look at it, not the whole thing. What's the next thing? Do that. What's the next thing? Do that. And then once I'm done with whatever I could do in that day, the rest of the list goes to the next day. And yeah, there's some things that have to be done that exact day. So those are the priorities, but that's kind of how I've always been. I'm like Patty was talking about earlier, the doer. I'm definitely a doer. I'm definitely a workaholic. But when I'm done, I'm done. So it's I get to that point in the day where I'm like, okay, I think I've done enough. I got to pull away from whatever I'm doing and take a break. So, yeah.
In the comments, someone mentioned ADD.
I think I have it.
Yeah.
I'm ADHD. Yep.
That makes it even more complicated. My list is like moving pieces all over the place.
Yeah.
And, we used to joke, if you've ever, Cammie and I used to go to the coffee shop and just hang out and talk. Of course, we were working as business partners and creating and curating and creating. And she'd say, people can't even walk by the glass because my attention would go with it. And she'd always call me out on it. It's so funny. If someone walked in the door, it didn't matter. I couldn't stay focused.
Yeah.
Well, on top of life happening, that's another thing that I deal with. So I don't know if our letter writer has this issue, but it's a real thing. And so for me, I have grandiose ideas. I'm a very big picture visionary. But when you start bringing that stuff down the funnel, oh my God, there's a bunch of details underneath that I have to handle that I don't like. And so that creates overwhelm for me. But I'm just learning now that I need to focus on one thing at a time, like Patty said, and like Cammie's saying too. Don't look at the whole list, look at parts of it. But I just really want to cover that for our listeners because there are so many people out there that their brains won't allow them to stay focused. And that's a big part of the overwhelm. And then feeling poorly about yourself as a result of that doesn't help at all. Right?
We also have a question from the peanut gallery over here.
Okay.
Walt wants to know, question, when you take everything on yourself, does it make your spouse feel like a spectator rather than a partner? And then is it fair to blame them for not helping?
Oh, wow. That's good. Yeah. That's a good question.
And then he says, sometimes people build their reputation on doing it themselves and feel that delegating makes them less valuable or dispensable. That would be me. On the button, because if you don't do it my way, then you're not doing it right. But question is first question.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think what Walt is saying too, or at least the way I see it, is sometimes the people that love you and care about you that are right by your side would be able to reduce some of that overwhelm, but you don't give them the opportunity.
Right.
And that's I'm sure there's someone listening that has that issue as well. And so that's something to consider, because maybe that person really wants to be there for you and really wants to help, but they're being locked out. I think that's what Walt means.
I think so too. My husband, I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, please go ahead.
The husband needs to say, how can I help you?
Yes.
That to me is, my husband will say that, and I will call on him to say, hey, can you do this, that, and the other thing? Today it happened. He came in and said, this this is wrong. And I just looked at him. I said, I can't take any more on today. Could you do that? And he's like, sure, I can do that. And I was just like, I just had to call a thing. And
you gave him permission, though. You gave him permission, and that's awesome.
It came from a place of, I can't. I just can't. And my prior self, last year even, I would have said, I'll get it done tomorrow. Right? I wouldn't have even asked. I would have sucked it up. And so I've been practicing this whole, like, I can only do so much in the day. And, you know, things blew up today. Things blew up really bad today. Insurance coverage, all kinds of weird, you know, rescheduling of procedures and and I'm kind of like, okay, we're kicking the can down the road for something that I'm hoping would have been done. Right. And so there is a little bit of that agitation that exacerbates the overwhelm, because you're like, I had my schedule all mapped out, and now there's cancellations, and now there's more phone calls to be had. And, you know, those are the times when I kind of lose my cool, right? And I start to go, you know, everything was planned, everything is good. It's when the disruption of the plan hijacks things, and I'm like, woo, So,
Good point. And it's nice that we're sharing these different perspectives, because again, there's someone that relates. I'm gonna throw a word out, ladies. I'm gonna throw one word out. Tell me what you think about this word. Boundaries.
Yeah, I think I've got good boundaries. I'm doing what I can. And when I, you know, just like I've already addressed, it's when I'm done, I'm done. So I think I have good boundaries in that way. Yeah, boundaries is a really
an issue.
I don't think it's an issue for me particularly. I just think it's again, it goes back to overwhelm. If you are the person who can do it, and you cannot think of anybody else who can do the thing that you're doing, you kind of have to suck it up. I don't know what else to do. You know, there's a lot of logistical things that require a body here in the state of Arizona to do the legwork, right? There's phone calls for sure that somebody else could do, but that person can't even do the phone call because it means scheduling me. And so I'm like, I can't have somebody scheduling me. I've got to schedule me, so I've got to make the phone call.
Right.
Makes sense. So
yes.
Those are the kind of things that get, you know, it gets to be too much for sure. Do I get overwhelmed all the time? But it's the breathing, it's the pause, it's the venting. I vent a lot to my husband, so that's how my husband helps me. Is I'm like, do you believe this crap?
Yeah. Patty, how do you deal with boundaries?
Just realize, like Cammie said, take a pause and say, is this something that I really want to do? Is this something that I have to do? Can I delegate it? Can I do it later? Can I schedule it for another day? Am I just saying yes because I don't want to disappoint someone? Is it lighting me up? Do I want to do this? Ask yourself those questions, because that will give you the answer. If you don't enjoy it, give somebody else give somebody an opportunity to do it that may enjoy it. Those are things that you need to think about. And the more that you say no to things that you don't want in your life, the easier it gets. And the less you say yes to the things you don't want to do, and yes to the things that you do want to do, so that you have this great balance of work life, personal life. You're doing the things that you want to do. And it's not all these things that you don't want to do, that's not bringing you joy or happiness, that's leading you to burnout.
Good point. Yeah. Because when I think about boundaries, and B, I want to hear your perspective on it as well. When I think about boundaries, I think about all the times that I've said yes to things that I didn't. And you touched on that, Patty. I think for me, it took me a long time to realize that I don't have to say yes to everything. And I certainly don't have to have, and Cameron used to call me out on this too, shiny object syndrome. Everything coming along that looked really cool to get involved with. So I do think that sometimes people don't realize that's what they're doing. They're signing up for too much. They're not focused on, does this align with my vision, my goals? Is this thing that's in front of me? I don't know about you guys, but on LinkedIn, I get 1 million people every day. Oh my God. So many people reaching out on LinkedIn to me. Hey, I noticed that you're doing this, and therefore I do this, and I think I can help you, and da da da. And I get like 10 of those a day. And I want to say to every one of them, do you not realize that you're not the only one that does this thing and or is offering to help me do it? But at the same time, I respect their hustle. I respect what they're trying to do. So I try to politely respond to each one and say, I'm at capacity right now. This isn't working. But for a long time, that freaked me out. Like I couldn't say no. So I developed some boundaries in that area. And it's made life a little easier. What about you, B?
Well, I have 2 words for that. Under construction.
Okay.
Because that's actually something I'm working on. I have a lack of boundaries issue, unfortunately, but it's because I'm a people pleaser. I love to do for others. It makes me feel good to see a smile on somebody else's face, and that's to my detriment, of course. It's a fault. It is. But I'm working on that. I have some very good advice from a very close sister of mine. So I'm working it out. But yeah, I do need to learn how to say no. And it's hard because there's guilt with that too. And it's overwhelming when you want to say no, but the disappointment that's coming with it from them, it's under construction.
Yeah, you're a work in progress. First of all, thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for being honest and sharing. And people need to understand too, our listeners need to know, we are people. We are not by any means perfect. We are all a work in progress. We are all learning. We just happen to want to share our lives and what we learn with others. And this is why we're on this platform. But we are all still growing in some area. So I really appreciate you sharing that. I want also our listeners to realize that what we're talking about is not an overnight instant shift for some at all.
Right.
It's not, right?
Right.
And what's really key is if you focus on shifting tiny habits. That's the thing that works the best. When you try to, what's that saying? How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Right? How do you eat an elephant?
One bite at a time. What about blow up a mountain with dynamite? Okay, I can go on and on. But the point is, it's achievable. So to our letter writer, whatever it is that feels insurmountable, I mean, Patty gave some really good stuff, some really great snippets that if you just took some of the advice that Patty gave in this call, I mean, she could send a bill. Honestly,
absolutely.
Because she did some coaching on this call. But the truth of the matter is, change your habits, right? You know me, I have to, now we're shifting from the lemons to the lemonade. And the lemonade is you can accomplish whatever it is you'd like to
Mhm.
if you just develop habits. Cami gave us an example of I'm not, I mean, these are my parents. I'm here for my parents and I'm going to be here for them. Doesn't mean I don't get overwhelmed. Doesn't mean things don't blow up, like you said. But Cami, I know you well enough to know that you have developed some consistency, some structure, and some habits
Yeah.
to allow you to show up for your parents and maintain your businesses, right?
Yeah. And I don't have, I'm lucky, knock on wood, that I don't have a family system that expects more than what I can give.
Mm-hmm.
So I do know that there's a lot of women out there that have judging eyes on them. You know, how come you didn't do this? And what about me? And, you know, being pulled in several directions. I'm lucky that I have a family system where I can say, can't do it. I don't have time. I don't have the bandwidth for that. I'll do it next week. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I'll just tell them, I'm like, just not happening this week.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So yeah, so we have to understand, have conversations with our family and friends about our capacity, what we're able to do. The other thing that one of the profound things that I've always benefited from is that our thinking that other people are expecting us to do this by this date or this way or this method or whatever, we do that to ourselves. And so we have to really say, am I making this up or did somebody tell me I had to have it done today?
Mm.
Did somebody
Mm.
tell me how to do it this way?
Mhm.
No, I did it. So I'm making the rules for how it's done. And
Mm.
if I take, you know, extra hours to do that, that's on me.
That is so good. That is so true. And
Absolutely.
the next thing I was going to go into, and Cami, that was a perfect segue.
Cool.
Identity versus mindset.
Yeah.
Identity versus mindset. Our identity is a big part of it, right? So what we believe, our filters, the way we see things. I mean, we talk about this a lot in terms of personal development. Who you are, your self awareness is like number one.
Yeah.
And when you understand who you are, the way you process and think, your filters, it helps a lot to put everything in perspective, especially if you're making small decisions, habits that are going to have great results as long as you are consistent with it. But you have to first be real with yourself. Am I that person that sees things one way? And the
Mhm.
truth of the matter is, it's not the way that, it may appear to be. My filters may tell me this is happening, but it's really not. Um, do I have to get permission to not do this thing today? Yeah, when you're working on a job and you have deliverables. I worked in corporate, so I love that word, deliverables, right? That's one thing. When you know, okay, these are the deliverables, and I can't move that date without going through a whole project management nightmare. That's one thing. But in reality, the things that overwhelm us oftentimes are not that big. They're small things. They're about managing our homes, our lives, and everything else. So your mindset's important and who you believe that you are. Who are you outside of what you do for everyone else?
Mhm.
That's the question. That's the big question.
Yeah.
Who are you? When you strip everything else away, all the ways that you show up, Cami, you are very much so still a wife, still a
Yep.
mother.
Yep.
If we remove what you're doing for your parents out of the equation, you still show up in those other roles,
Yeah, I do.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's key. Overwhelm can get your mind muddled and you forget all that. And you get so lost that it goes into depression. Patty, you gave us a lot of hints on that as well. You know, Were you going to say something?
Um,
No, okay.
yeah, I think that, you know, what you said about the little things can be the big things that can put you into overwhelm. And just removing those little things can help, ease that tension or that stress. If it really doesn't need to be done, or it's not even, it's something that you put on the list that really, does this even need to be on the list? And just thinking about, what are my priorities? What's going on in my life? Is this something I'm putting pressure on myself? Or is this something I can let go of?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I would say to really identify what are the areas in your life that you're overextending yourself. To really sit down and think about that. To me, that's step one. Where am I feeling the most pressure? Where am I overextending myself? And then look at what are the habits that you can develop, or how can you tweak how you're doing what you're doing. Does that make sense, B? Yeah?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
That's what we're working on here too. Just it, it it's all prioritizing, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
and I just forgot where my priorities were. I think we all do, because
At times,
it's
absolutely.
part of that overwhelming sensation too, because
Mm-hmm.
you just too much at one time is just not enough brain activity for me, for my ADHD to sit with for very long either. So
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
had that problem too. Yeah, I
Yeah.
totally
I,
agree with
in the end, what I want to make sure of is that um, our listeners and the letter writer
that. Mhm.
understands that there's hope, and that you have more choice and control than you think you do. We've been there, all of us. We're in different stages on the continuum right now, right? B, you're saying I'm working through this right now.
Mhm.
Cammie's over here. Patty's gotten to the point where she went through the ulcer, and now she's at the point of coaching other women. She made it her life mission to help other women not go through what she went through, right? And I
Amazing.
am somewhere in between. And some days you might talk to me and I'm at overwhelm, right? Because of
Mhm.
my day job. And then
Yep.
but I have learned that this too shall pass, and just take a breather, take care of have fun. I too went on a cruise, Patty, and I loved it. Um, and I think I came back changed. But we want people to give yourself permission to do what lights you up. Give yourself permission to change what is unsettling for you, and understand that you do have some choices in the matter. Yeah. So,
Absolutely.
B, you going to take us home?
I'm gonna take us home, sis. Definitely. I just have to say first, to the chat, thank you, Nisi, Big Jack, Walt,
Mhm.
the Peanut Gallery itself. Thank you for being here so very much. And ladies, Patty, Cami, thank you so very much for being
Yeah.
here for your first and for your second time. I'm very, very humbled by this experience because here I was thinking, maybe I'm the only one, but I'm certainly not, am I?
Mhm.
This one
No, absolutely
definitely,
not.
it hits different, right?
Yeah.
Not loud, not obvious. It's just something that happens slowly, and before you know it, you put yourself at the bottom of your own list without even realizing it. But the moment you
Mhm.
notice it, that matters because that's where the choice comes in, right? Not
Mhm.
to fix everything overnight, just to do one thing differently, to stop ignoring it this time.
Mhm.
We just have to get there, Take care of
Mhm.
yourself. It's not selfish, it's necessary. And if
Mhm.
you don't make the time for it, eventually something else will force you to, right? Listen, I love you guys. Ladies, Thank you so very much, sis. Thank
Mhm.
you. Always, always thank you for being here, because I'm telling you, I couldn't do it without you. If you will, ladies, y'all just hold on back. We want to talk to you just a few more minutes after we're done here. Everyone else, thank you so much for being here. Bye bye.
Thanks.